Okay, the time is 6 o'clock. The date is Monday, August the 7th, 2023. We will call the Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting to order. Ms. Ragsdale, if we could have a roll call.
Mr. Stone?
Here.
Mr. Brumfield?
Here.
Mr. Yeaman? Here. Ms. Deering? Mr. Craddock?
Here.
Mr. Merricks?
Yeah.
Mr. Easley?
Here.
If you all would, please rise and join me in a moment of silence and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Members of the board, you have before you the agenda for tonight's meeting. Do we have any additions or corrections to it? Do I hear a motion that it be approved as written or presented?
So moved. Second.
Okay, so how do we get this thing to vote?
It showed up.
Let's see if it'll come up for you.
I already done it.
Oh, you going to vote?
Yeah.
Everyone voted?
I hit save.
No, I think you got
It was a screen that said yes. And I said, I'm good.
Mr. Yeaman needs the vote.
Mr. Yeaman, sorry.
I might be dumb though. I was stupid. So.
Good. Okay, thank you. You have in your packet the minutes of the June board meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing no additions or corrections, do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Mr. Easley, do you mind pulling your microphone up a little bit closer to you?
Okay,
Thank you.
how's that? Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes. Okay, thank you. Old business?
Just a reminder to the board that we will have the next bi-monthly zoning ordinance rewrite workshop this Thursday at 5:30 in this room. You do have the packet for that meeting in front of you to go over the proposed changes to those sections. This will be the last meeting that we will go over individual sections. These are design standards, so these will apply to all sections. They'll be relating to landscaping requirements, lighting requirements, parking requirements, things like that. The next meeting, the one in October, will be our final workshop. That one will be a review of the total ordinance, so any revisions that have been proposed to this point, if you have any questions or you've had additional thoughts on those, that would be the time to discuss that with the Berkeley group. And from that point, we will go into the public hearing phase, public input phase, and then we will move towards adoption early to mid-2024.
Thank you, ma'am. Any new business?
You will have 3 cases next month. Those are in front of you. The information for those was put at each of your chairs.
Okay. I do not have a chairman's report. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, we, the Board of Zoning Appeals, have been empowered to hear and decide specific applications and appeals in support of said ordinance. In accomplishing this important task, we are charged with promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. We must ensure that all our decisions and recommendations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pennsylvania County, its citizens, and its posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board other than the applicant regarding zoning cases will be limited to 3 minutes. The time is now 6:06. We will open case S-23-007, special use permit condition amendments. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case S-23-007, J.D. Shelton, Gloria Shelton, and Tammy Shelton Wiles are requesting an amendment to the conditions attached to special use permit S-19-010 issued on September 10th, 2019 on 450 acres located on Route 360 Old Richmond Road in the Dane River Election District to reduce the required 300-foot setback, amend the restriction on the hours of operation, allowing them to open at 12 p.m. on Sundays and weekday holidays, and increase the number of night rides allowed each year from 1 to 2, and allow them, and then I already stated to allow them to be open on weekday holidays. On July 6, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended that the amendments to the attached condition, the conditions attached to the special use permit were amended to allow them to open at 12 p.m. on Sundays and holidays, increase the number of night rides allowed each year to 2, and allow them to open on weekday holidays. This was passed by a 6-0 vote with opposition. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, J.D. Shelton, Gloria Shelton, and Tammy Shelton Wiles are here to represent the petition.
Mr. Shelton. Excuse me, Mr. Shelton, or whoever would like to speak for your case, if you'd like to come forward, state your name. Pull your microphone over a little closer to you. Thank you. I can't hear you. I don't think it's on.
Oh, we got to turn it on. That's better.
There you go.
Now, what we're asking for tonight is an amendment to the policy. We got a 300-foot setback that was originated. It started out at 50 foot and ended up with the board here at 300 foot for noise. That's why that 300-foot setback was designed. We have passed all that noise tests. I talked to the sheriff. All that test has been done, we passed. And so I'm asking for 50-foot setback instead of 300-foot setback. And we're asking for 2 night rides per year instead of 1. We have 1, and we're asking for 2. We've had some problems with some real loud bikes. We're trying to work on that. It takes time to get it all done. You got to send them home or whatever. We have sent some people home. We've made some people mad. But if it's too loud, it's too loud. We got to figure out, we got the instruments ordered to where we can do all this with it. And we've got it cut down a lot as far as the loud bikes. And the rest of the part of that is, it's just these people claim that at factory, bike company factory with this muffler on it, and it's too loud. And when you turn them away, they get mad. But what I'm trying to do, what we're trying to do now is figure out how to get this thing straightened out. If they got a straight pipe, they don't ride. Or if it's just excessively loud, we don't let them ride. And I think we had one this weekend. He was real loud. And we let him ride. shouldn't have probably, but he said he had factory mufflers, stock mufflers. Didn't sound like it, but that's what he said anyway. And then we're asking for 12 o'clock on Sunday instead of 1. I have talked to several church members that have no objection to it. The preacher has no objection to it. The parking lot at Mount Tabor Church at 12 o'clock is clear. Everybody's gone home. Church is over at 11:30. And so we're asking for that. And then I'm asking to ride on the holidays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, where we're closed. I would like to ride, like July the 4th was on Tuesday, we were closed. And a world of people wanted to ride, but we were closed. And as far as the setback thing, Elkhorn's got 50 feet. And y'all passed that sometime a little last year, I think. They got 50 feet. And there's places at Elkhorn where they ride through the yard. That's basically all I got to say. You can listen to all the other stuff, and if you need any more questions. Thank you.
I have a question,
Just a moment,
Mr.
sir.
Chair.
Go ahead.
On the 300-foot setback, the reason, I want to understand a little bit more why you would like to
What do you think?
reduce that. Is the trails that close to the edge of the property that you would need the 300-foot setback reduced?
No, they were not.
Okay.
No, sir, they were not.
I'm sorry.
you say
We
that-
can't hear you.
I can't
ma'am.
hear you.
You're gonna-
Speaking of Mike,
They were not that close to the property line.
So,
We were given the property line setback to please Mr. Owen.
yes, but
Because he complained.
help me
about
understand why you would like to reduce it down to 50.
To
What's,
feel like we're being treated fairly as the other local places in the community and in the county.
besides being treated fairly, is there any impact to your business? I'm trying to understand the impact to your business.
Some it has, because we've had to cut off certain areas that we rode.
A lot of trails have been there 30 years or more. We don't ride them now.
Okay.
Any more questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if it's okay, I have a question for the applicant.
Pardon me?
I have a question for the applicant.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ms. Shelton, I've got a report here of 9 calls in 2022 to EMS and 3 calls so far this year, which is great. There hadn't been as many this year, I guess, as last year. When you look at that, using the services, local services that are provided by the county and volunteers and things of that nature, have you done any studies to see what your impact is to the county and what revenue you're bringing into the county for your business and how it is creating essentially jobs for our community? Do you have any information on that?
No, sir, we haven't done any research as far as that goes.
Ma'am, we can't hear you. You
Can't
need
hear
to
you.
speak into the microphone.
No, we haven't done any research as far as, what kind of revenue is coming in.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions for the applicant? And I'm sure we'll have some more before we finish up. Okay. Thank you all.
As far as the 12 o'clock on Sunday, I have personally spoken to Pastor Daniel Peters with Mount Tabor Baptist Church. I talked with him on the phone and in person. I met with him last Wednesday. He had stated that he had heard, through the community that we were coming for a hearing, and the deacons had talked about it before I even contacted him. He stated to me that our position is that we have no position. We do not want to take sides, and we have no dog in the fight. But I will say I have been here at the church for 2.5 years, and I have not heard any sound, nor have I heard any complaints from church members. We have had outdoor gatherings and no sounds have been heard on the weekends from the trails. We have not had any issues inside, and we are not in opposal to opening at noon on Sundays. Sunday service ends at 11:30 a.m. And that was, like I said, from Mr. Peters.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you. Okay, from the public sign-up, we have Phyllis Bledsoe.
Good evening. I submitted a Freedom of Information Act request with the Sheriff's Department so we could have verification rather than he said, she said, I said. Ms. Worley from the Sheriff's Department, I might want to add, was super helpful and very knowledgeable. The Sheriff's Department had requested extra time, so I have a partial of what I requested, and I will share that with you. What I didn't get was Red Ocala stated Sheriff's Department checked the noise at their property, and that they, at my property and Tanner Owens' property, and both passed. Red Ocala also stated the ATV Park recreational facility had been tested numerous times and passed. I requested these dates and readings of said events. Also requested what type sound meter used and where purchased and or replaced, which there were some discrepancies in that. That's the part I'm waiting on. But what I did get was the 911 calls from Red Ocala. From 2019, I didn't have any, but from 2020 to the present. And of those, not to hit all of them, the main ones are they called 911 from that facility for they had 17 ATV accidents, 9 traumatic injuries, 1 missing person, 4 sexual assaults, and it goes on. I have a copy for you. So we, the citizens of Pittsylvania County, need your help. This is where we live. You know, we've been trying to get across just what is going on down there. But our main concern is the noise. But now I see these sexual assaults. I live by myself. And as close as I am to it, you know, they need to be monitored more and held more accountable. And the noise is just horrendous. You can go inside your house, as I've repeated, close doors, close windows, and you can't even hear the TV. You might as well just go on down there and join them. So really ask your help to make us feel comfortable. This is not community development. This is not any type business that should be operating, period, because they have no rules down there. Thank you for your time.
Tanner Owen.
How are y'all? Yeah, I will try to keep my blood pressure down, but I couldn't hear anything that Tammy said, speaker, but what JD was saying about the admitting people from riding with loud pipes, all I can tell you is that's pretty false. Loud pipes are continued. If he's done it at all, I would be willing to bet you it hadn't happened. When I can hear it in my house 3,000 feet away with the windows up, air conditioner running, and TV on at a moderate level, that's not factory muffler. Tim Alderson wrote y'all a letter. I'm sure y'all probably read it. There's probably 15 to 20 other families that I can get to sign papers and have signed some papers that back this up. A lot of people don't want to come up here and speak. The noise is absolutely a nuisance. What JD said about the people at the church, I couldn't hear half of that either. I spoke to a friend of mine who was a deacon at that church after the last meeting when he said the majority of the people at the church had no problem with opening at 12. He got with the deacon board and the preacher himself and said that no one had heard anything about that. And he said he was going to contact some of y'all, whether he did or not, but I can back that one up 100%. So it's a lot of false information being given to y'all. I have invited all of y'all every time. Emily and Karen Hayes have been out to the house. They can definitely tell you how loud the mufflers are. When you can follow the sound of 1, 2, or 5 of them from thousands of feet away, that's telling you those are the ones that are putting out the excess noise. If all of them were on the same page, you would hear them all. I don't know how people stand right behind some of them. The big one is they've been racing. Y'all told them not to race. We told Emily Ragsdale and Karen that they're racing. They've been told in the past year they're still doing it. Tim witnessed it with his own eyes. People that race have a high-dollar machine, some of them $30,000, $40,000. The loud mufflers, when they put it to the floor, that loud burst of energy just echoes. Halifax County was going to allow one of these to open. They sent people to my house to witness it with their own ears. A friend that's on that committee lives 2 miles down the road. He can hear it at his house, 2 miles down the road. Halifax County looked out to their citizens and voted it down. I could talk to y'all for an hour, but I'm telling you, it is a problem, and I hope that y'all will listen, and I welcome you to come to my house, and you will understand that this is a nuisance and it's a real problem. Thank you for your time.
Stephen Hodnett.
Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Not good.
You couldn't? Okay, all right. Well, I live about maybe 500 feet from Timmy. And I live in a mobile home, which you very well know they're not insulated well, and sound does penetrate. But we've been there for years, and we don't hear over there as well as what we've been told, you know. So I don't know what the big fuss is about the sound, because we don't hear it. And you're welcome to come there and hear what we hear anytime. But, you know, I don't think JD would do anything that would interfere with the neighborhood. He's well known through the neighborhood. If somebody presented their case well, I'm sure he'd do everything he could to fix it. So, you know, bottom line being that I don't have a complaint. So, you know, I've never been to Red Oak while they were running. I can hear David Jr.'s mud bog up there. I can hear the motocross down there. They screaming, but I don't really care. So, you know, there you got it. There you got it. That's it for me.
Thanks, sir. Tim Alderson.
Good afternoon. I wrote a letter to you all, and I hope you had a chance to read it. My comments are probably not going to be looked upon favorably by either side here. I have my own views, and that's what I'm expressing today. JD and I have met 3 times in the last month. I went twice to his place. He came once to mine. And I will say that since I first met with him, I believe it was on July 15th, the evening or the Saturday of July 22nd and 29th were fairly peaceful. 2 days ago, as he said, and I will concur, there was one loud machine over there. And all of my comments that I wrote in the letter have to do with the loud machines. I don't know how you look at a muffler and say it's stock or not stock, but you can tell by hearing it. And I'm asking that you as a BZA consider another way, figure out how to set a limit and police it. I know there's been a lot of calls made. I haven't personally called 911 because I don't see that the policing of it really happens. I just can't believe that there's been no founded noise complaint in our community. The big thing that's happened, the reason I'm here today, I'm really a landowner rights guy. But the big reason I'm here today is this thing has really mushroomed, both at Pine Lane and at Red Oak Holler. And so 2 out of 3 vehicles that are on 360, I would guarantee you, are carrying motorcycles on Saturday, or four-wheelers. Occasionally one goes up and down the road, untowed or not on a vehicle. It's turned into a little bit of a, I don't know, there's a frenzy. I mean, it's really mushroomed. So you guys set the boundaries, and I'm just asking for more policing of it. I know if they police it, it works. And I'm not against the facilities per se. I think it's great that people have a place to come and enjoy themselves. I've been to both of them and ridden and paid. I don't see anything terribly wrong with it, but if they don't police the loud machines, then I do. I have a big problem with it. I want to set the record straight on something in the letter I wrote to you, and I think I did in the letter, but most of the noise we hear at night come from Pine Lane. In our bedroom, we do hear them. I live right across from Mr. Hodnett, but we do hear them at night. And anyway, it's when JD was at my house, he came to my place one day, and I said, JD, I know y'all are doing a good job over there today because I can't hear them sitting here in the living room talking to you. But that wouldn't be our normal Saturday and Friday night or Sunday afternoon. So it is a problem, and you guys are, you're setting the rules and setting the boundaries for us as neighbors. I do believe we can get along as neighbors. I've known JD and his family all my life. I don't want to be enemies with him. I don't want to be enemies with Tanner, and I want to get along. But I'm here today because I feel like at some point, if you don't speak up, then, lack of saying something is saying I'm okay with it. And I can't really say that I'm okay with it without it improving. So, thank you guys.
Thank you. Sunny Singh.
Hey, my name is Sunny. I'm a small business owner, and I'm here to support a small business. J.D. Shelton is a good man. He's not supposed to here. He got 34 stitches in his back. He's supposed to be in the bed. But he's a strong man. I support this guy. Like he's talking about, Mr. Timmy Noyce. I live third house from the Birch Creek. It's double wide. I have no problem with that. I can walk to the Pine Lane Trail. Just like walk behind over there. No issue. Yes, a little bit noise over there, but that's a business. I'd rather those kids having fun over there than get shot in North Main. I lived in Danville before, lived in New York. Maybe because I drive 14-year yellow cab in New York, noise don't bother me. So I'm just here to support. I mean, whatever the problem, hopefully all you guys can solve it. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all the names that have signed up to speak. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Mr. Shelton and Ms. Wiles, would you all like to come back up and rebut or respond to anything that you've heard? Speak into the microphone so we can hear you.
As far as the calls that
Speak into the microphone, please.
As far as the calls that Ms. Bledsoe said that she had checked on with the sheriff's department, some of that we do not know about, like the sexual assaults. I've never heard of that. I don't know who called them in, where it took place. If it was other people on the property, I don't know. That was new to us. And as far as, people getting hurt, kids can get hurt out in the yard riding a bicycle. We can get hurt in vehicle accidents. I mean, it's just one of those things that may and can happen.
What can you tell us about the racing that's going on?
The guys will get out in a flat field and just see who can get to the end the quickest.
Time trial.
Now, what are you doing about that?
Well, we were told that they could do whatever they wanted to in the field because we asked about it in the past.
And who told you that?
I don't know, whoever came down, talked with him. They talked with him about it. He's asking about he's asking about the racing, when they do the racing.
Like time trials.
Oh, you're talking
one
about the
at a
circle
time.
track.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
One ride
At
at
the
a
circle
time.
track.
No, but there's been accusations of racing, sounds like drag racing. Is that the case?
At
Pardon me?
What we call it, donut field now.
Well, he's talking about a circle track that we have and they do
Circle
time
track,
laps.
we've had an accident or two down there. You put 400 or 500 people together somewhere along the line, you're gonna have people get out of line. You're gonna have accidents. We've never had nothing really, really bad. Never had nobody get killed or nothing like that. You broke arm, shoulder. As a matter of fact, we had a guy broke his leg the day that Tim came down to talk to me. He broke his leg that day on a dirt bike doing a wheelie. He was 44 years old. Like me, he was too old to be doing it anyway. That's beside the point, I guess.
So do you all do anything to not allow that?
Did we know?
No, I mean, we're patrolling 500 acres, so, and it's 5 of us that work there.
Any other questions for
I have a
the
question. Mr. Shelton, as I've listened to both sides of this issue, one of the main concerns of some of your neighbors is noise. What can you do, what would you be willing to do to reduce the noise? What could you do?
We're attempting to do that now. He's got a decibel meter on order. He has talked with Sheriff Taylor just this past Friday, and Sheriff Taylor told him that legally they're doing all they can do. I mean, he doesn't know what to tell him as far as being fair to the rider by standing, close to their ride and to get a reading.
So I'm not
He
familiar
didn't know
with
how to
this.
answer what would be fair to
Irene,
the rider.
To rephrase my question, I'm not familiar with the sport, but I'm assuming that there's probably certain things that could be done to the four-wheelers to reduce the noise coming from them, I'm assuming. I'm not sure if some facilities have certain restrictions. And if so, is that something that could be put in place at your place?
They could buy things to try to soften the sounds. A lot of them have been tuned. The engines have been tuned. Therefore, when they do so-called beef the engines up, they have to have a certain exhaust to go with that. You have things such as the megaphone. The megaphone is really loud. Um, it's just, it's so iffy. It's hard to do anything about it. I mean,
Well, as a business, I believe what I'm getting to, as a business owner, you could set certain restrictions if you chose to.
I mean, that's what we're working on, you know, since we've been talking with Tim, and
Yeah. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I have a couple questions for you. How long have you been in operation?
since September of 18.
Okay, thank you. And how many riders do you think you get on a weekend basis or annually? What
200-300 a weekend, like a
200
Saturday.
300 a weekend? Wow, that's a lot. So I was looking on. I couldn't find that you had a web page, but you have a Facebook page. And in the Facebook page, it says stock exhaust, no modified exhaust, and no partake of alcohol or legal drugs. At any rate, you said that someone got mad because you asked them to leave. If you put it on your Facebook page and you make it known that you have to have a stock exhaust, why did the person get upset? I mean, they should have known that before they got there.
A lot of them don't even read the page.
Okay.
They really don't.
So one of the concerns that I've heard is the sound. Some people say there's not an issue. Some people say there is. But what can you do? What can you tell us that you can do and stick with it? I mean, if you have that on your page but people don't follow it, if that's your rule, how do you enforce that? You know, and you know, what can the county do to make sure all citizens are at peace? I am very, very friendly to business. I would love to make your business whatever you want to do and have 10,000 people visit on the weekend. Overwhelm your place would be great. They're going to shop somewhere. They're going to shop. They're going to buy gas. It's all good for us. What can you do to help us? You know, what can you do? You've got it on your Facebook page, but what can you
The
do
only
to
thing we
enforce
can
that?
do is send them up the road.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the concerns we have is can we put a requirement on your organization to where you have to have that, and then, you know, it makes it even more restrictive. So what can we do to work together to make sure that that you don't have these loud mufflers? I looked it up. I think it's hard to tell. It's 99 decibels. I don't even, you know, what a decibel, you know, how it, you know, grows. I think it triples with each one. I'm not sure, but 99 decibels. Can you set a limit with
And
this?
that's why he contacted the sheriff to ask him, you know, what is fair? What are we, you know, he was trying to get from him what we should be doing as far as the distance and the decibel. Once we get the meter,
Yeah.
you know, what decibel should we consider fair to them, or what is legal, or, you know, he didn't know what to tell us.
On this, the sheriff don't know. We got to figure. He said, "I got to figure it out."
Yeah, he said he didn't know what to tell us.
Basically speaking, he really don't know.
Mr. Chairman, I did some research on this myself, and most ATVs from the factory run between 80 and 96 decibels. So the high part being on the 96 side, that's why they come from the factory. So with a meter, and if you do it according to the manufacturer's instructions, you hold the meter at a certain tachometer level 20 inches away from the muffler, and you get a reading. And if that reading is more than 96 from the factory, it's pretty simple.
You know, if you've done this research, will that
Not
come
that
with
simple.
this meter?
Huh?
Not that simple.
Will that information come with meters when you receive them?
Yeah, that tells you how to use the meter, and then you just do it that way and read the meter. I don't know how much simpler you can get, because that's the only way you're going to control noise. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. Every person has a right to the peaceful enjoyment of their property. Everybody. I do. Tanner Owen does. Tim Allison does. All these people do. Now, whether they hear or not, that might be a hearing problem, but I mean, the common sense will tell you when you get 200 or 300 four-wheelers on a piece of property, there's going to be a lot of noise, period. And so somewhere that, I don't want, it's not my intention to shut anything down, but it's my intention to protect the citizens of the county who have a problem when they can't even enjoy their property because of all this noise. So we have to come up with a solution to that. And so I don't know how else to do it. But anyway.
Mr. Chairman, it does, when you have several hundred four-wheelers, it's going to be a different sound that's being heard. One four-wheeler is going to be different than 50 running at one time as far as sound. Is my research I did today, just as Mr. Merrick's did, I actually spoke to a person that knew about decibels, and they were explaining how it worked. And I think that's a great way to monitor it. But one thing that came of that is that one vehicle is going to have less decibels than 50, So you still don't solve the overall problem, but you get rid of the loud, potentially get rid of the loud ones that are the worst offenders.
It seems, certainly the noise is an issue, but it seems the big issue are the side-by-sides, motorcycles, four-wheelers that are coming in with mufflers that are not factory. And you said yourself, Mr. Shelton, that you asked one to leave and they got upset. And I guess the only way to police it is for the Shelton family to police that property. And if not, then we've all got an issue. We've got a problem from the community, from the neighbors. I think as you're hearing from the board, we're not here to shut down your program, but at the same time, we've got to do the best we can to protect the neighborhood also. And so I guess in my thinking, it comes back to the owners of the business to tell us what you can do and what you plan to do to keep the loud units out of that.
Mr. Aisley, our noise levels have been checked 4 times from the complainant's property, and we passed. Therefore, all we got a problem with is some of these with the straight pipes. They got straight pipes, you can tell it right off. You just tell them they can't ride. Well, if they come back, you got a bike, it was loud this weekend. He was close to being too loud. Tim heard him, I'm sure. Tim hears it better than Tanner. Tim's a whole lot closer than Tanner. I'm sure he heard the bike. I let him ride, but I told him, I said, you come back next weekend, it got to be different. Don't ride. And it takes you a little while. And this is, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever, trying to get this thing started. Got it on that page on the computer now and all that. But what they're pushing is the noise, and we've passed the decibel codes. That's one of the problems I have.
And that's per Sheriff Taylor and the department.
And
That's
if
what
we hadn't have passed these tests, these decibel tests, you know yourself, we'd have very well been notified to shut it down.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Before we close the public hearing, I want to ask you all, I think it's been told to you that once we close this public hearing, and you all have asked us to change your conditions, that you are opening yourself up for this board to change any and all conditions that are in place. Do you all understand that?
Mm-hmm. Do you understand that? He said that since you had filed again, he's more or less saying that you're opening yourself up for whatever they decide.
Right. We had to live with what y'all decided before, so we live with it this time.
Very good. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
The time is 6:45. We will close the public hearing. and go into a committee of the whole. Comments? But before we do that, the applicant is asking for the following changes. They're asking to eliminate the required 300-foot setback, to amend the restrictions placed on the hours of the operation, to allow them to open at 12 p.m. on Sundays and holidays, increase the number of night rides allowed each year to 2, and allow them to open on weekday holidays, which could include 4th of July, Christmas, Easter, any number.
I just want to say right up front, I think those of us who are on the board, when we put these conditions in place, we did it for a reason. They weren't haphazardly looked at. We tried to protect the community, but also allow the Sheltons to use their property to have a business. So really, I haven't heard anything tonight that would justify to me changing any of the existing conditions. Except we might I want to add some wording to some of these and add a few more. But as far as the existing ones, I think they need to stay in place.
Any other comments along those lines?
Well, I think that the 300-foot setback definitely needs to stay in place. The issue that I feel that's before us is the noise. I went to a car show this weekend in Rocky Mount. Of course, some people had their cars fixed up very nice, and when they'd crank them, they sounded very nice. But of course, there was 2 or 3 there when they cranked it up. It was extremely loud. It would hurt your ears, and I'm assuming that's probably what's going on at this operation also. I'm not sure if there's something that this board could put in place that could reduce the noise of those that are attending that have extremely loud mufflers. That's probably leading to this issue. But like I say, right now they have the option to do 1 night ride a year, going to 2 nights. I heard nobody say anything in opposition about riding longer, moving from 1 o'clock on Sunday to 12. And just like any normal business, if the 4th of July falls on a Tuesday or Wednesday, most people are going to want to have their business open if they're running their business. I don't have issues with that. My concern is there anything this board could do to help with the main concern that's before us here tonight?
I just want to say that when you're talking about the holiday, it might be true that business need to be open, but at the same time, there are families who like to enjoy the holiday outside and have picnics and so forth, and they can't do that because of that, a noise. They can't enjoy their own property because of that. And that's why I would say leave it alone. I don't know if there's anything we can do for this noise. We've talked to the attorney, our attorney. I tried to do one. I don't think it would fly, but we already have in there factory mufflers only. And if we do factory mufflers only, that means the decibels have to be 100 or less, pretty much.
It is hard to come up with conditions that are enforceable as a zoning administrator. Certainly the Sheltons could test the vehicles, but even if you impose that condition, that's difficult to enforce from a practical perspective. Unfortunately, noise issues are hard to enforce unless there's consistent feedback from the community and consistent decibel testing by law enforcement. There's no real easy means otherwise, unfortunately.
Any other comments?
I would like to, I don't know how to do this,
tell you what let's do. I think what we want to do is have a positive motion for an application to amend conditions as follows, as we, the board, present them. Now, do you all have a list of the 11 current conditions?
I don't think so, not
Okay,
before me.
all right. What I will do is I'm going to go down through the conditions, and then we will add to them, take away from them, do as the board sees fit. And then after we do that, then we will read a motion to amend the conditions that are currently in place. Does that sound make sense? Okay. The first one is primitive camping only. Now, what I would like I'm going to read the ordinance for primitive camping. And it says, an undeveloped lot or parcel of land operated without electrical, utilities, public or private, or a man-made water supply. The primary use being camping, and I'm reading this off my phone, I apologize, with a tent or without shelter. Recreational vehicles are prohibited. So I would like to say primitive camping only, and with the wording, especially the part, recreational vehicles are prohibited. Item number 2, night rides allowed once a year until 2 a.m. The applicant is requesting that they have 2 night rides a year. What's the pleasure of the board?
I just think one's enough, but also, whatever we decide, we need to have them notify in writing to the zoning office, give a 5-day notice of any night ride that's going to take place, and document it, so it'll be documentation when it happened.
I would agree with that, but I don't see a problem with 2 nights.
Okay.
I don't see a problem with the 2 nights either.
I agree with what Mr. Merrick's proposed with the 5-day notice.
2 rides, and then a 5-day notice.
Mr. Chairman, can you read that again, what you just said? You said 1 night or 2 nights?
Currently, night rides allowed once a year until 2 a.m. Now, it seems to be the general consensus of the board that we allow 2 night rides, and Mr. Merckx wants the word also add.
Notify in writing, give a 5-day notice to the zoning office in writing of the night ride, the dates of the night rides. So we'll have documentation that there's a night ride, and here's a night ride, so there's no confusion of if they had a night ride or not.
If you go back to number 1, I had a question about the camping. Do we know if there's RVs being pulled in there? Because it seemed like there's a lot of RVs associated with this type thing. I actually don't have a problem with the RVs.
Well,
I'm just wondering if
the issue with the RV, and I will defer to Ms. Ragsdale about RVs.
We have received complaints that there are RVs on the property that are being stayed in. I've never been able to verify that, but staff has received those complaints.
Because RVs without proper water and sewage are in violation of the ordinance. So if RVs are allowed on the premises, they would need to satisfy the health department.
Under the zoning ordinance, RVs can only be occupied, not stayed in overnight, but occupied for any period of time if they are located in an approved campground, which requires the property to be zoned A1 and a special use permit to be issued for a campground.
Yeah.
3 or more recreational vehicles on a property also requires a permit for a campground through the state health department.
So if the Sheltons wish to have RV units on their property, they would need to come back and get a special use permit for that and satisfy the health requirements, health department requirements.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for clarification.
Hours of operation shall be limited to 10 a.m. from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Daylight Savings Time. I didn't read that right.
That's fine.
Okay. Leave that as is. Factory, number 4, factory mufflers only. That seems to be standard. Control erosion. Days of operation shall be Thursday through Sunday. No Sunday operation before 1 p.m. There's been a lot of conversation back and forth. Some folks say the church said 12 was okay. Some folks are saying that's not the case. We have the condition that the rides occur Thursday through Sunday with no Sunday operation before 1 a.m., before 1 p.m., excuse me.
I did receive a call from a church member, and he said exactly what was said tonight, that nobody had been contacted in the church leadership. Now, people may have been contacted in members, but the church, they have some concern about that because they do quarterly picnics and outside events, and elderly people on the road traveling after church. Church is over at 11:30, but they hang around and talk, then they get on the road, and then they got all this traffic. So there are some concerns about that 12 o'clock opening. Mm-hmm.
So we're of the opinion we leave it at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all speak up if I'm not saying something right here.
So, and you know, I'm not strong either way, and I should have asked Mr. Shelton what was the impact to his business, just that hours difference. But if I was traveling to a place that was going to open at 12, maybe I would be getting there at 11, 11:30, and maybe there would be less traffic at 12:30 and 1. But I don't know. I don't understand enough about that business, but maybe an earlier opening time would reduce traffic after church. I don't know.
I'll leave it alone.
So I'm okay either way.
Okay, all right, thank you. Item, condition number 7, never ride under the influence of alcohol or drugs. I think that can stay as is. Number 8, maintain setback of 300 feet. That's one of the requests of the Sheltons, that we do away with the 300-foot setback. I think they had asked for maybe a 50-foot setback. Currently, the 300-foot setback doesn't seem to be quite enough to satisfy the neighbors, so I probably recommend we leave it at 300 feet.
Okay.
Comments? Okay.
I'm okay.
Number 9, comply with health department regulations. Number 10, comply with noise ordinance. And number 11, maintain a vegetative buffer.
I'd like to, for consideration, to add the following, that the special use permit be reviewed in 2 years for compliance with conditions. And that no competitions will be allowed, which that includes racing or whatever you want to call it, but no competitions will be allowed on the property. And the recently acquired property, GPN number 2473-71-0347, about 80 acres, cannot be used under this special use permit.
What's that GPN number?
2473-71-0347.
I'm sorry, 2473.
71-0347.
All right, folks. I'm gonna go, let's see, I'll tell you what, let's do. Any other comments, additions, anything?
So, did we address the holiday riding? They had requested that they would be allowed to have holiday riding that did not fall on a normal weekend day.
It didn't, we didn't add it to the condition. We simply left it out.
Is that what this board would like to do?
In my opinion, I think so. That would be my opinion. What's the
And that's
pleasure?
my opinion.
How does the other board?
Is it possible to pick and choose the holidays, or do you have to do a blanket, no holidays or all holidays?
The application, holidays really don't come into play. It's going to be Thursday through Sunday is going to be the only riding time.
Right.
You could say only up to a certain amount per year. If the board so desired, you could set it to a certain number of holidays that fall on Monday through Wednesday. There's no reason why you could not.
So if a holiday falls on a Thursday through Sunday, then riding is allowed, but if it's on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, it's not allowed, is that?
That's as currently stands, yes, sir.
Okay. So 4th of July being on Tuesday this year would have been out of,
Right.
Correct. And I don't know how many holidays will fall on Monday through Wednesday next year, but you could set a total number if the board so
And
desired.
what defines a holiday? Are you a federal holiday? Are you a state holiday? Are you a local holiday? Or what kind of holiday?
You could specify state and federal, just state.
There are all kinds of holidays.
I would probably put in there if if the board so desires to add that condition, I'd probably specify either state and federal or just state holidays.
so what you're talking about is Labor Day, Memorial Day, Good Friday, well, not Good, that would be your
And they all
Monday holidays, Anyway, I was just trying to see if there was a way to work around it on anything, but basically you're eliminating Monday through Wednesday.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And the way the current conditions are written, that would eliminate Monday through Wednesday. You're right.
Okay.
But now that's the pleasure of the board to present something other than what's in the conditions.
That's all I had, Mr. Chairman, I'm good.
Sure.
That's all I had on that, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, tell you what I'm gonna do. Try to read.
If we get ready to go into it, I would like
Sure.
to a little bit more understanding of, I think it was number 12. Mr. Merckx had went over, I think it was number 12 was probably 4 conditions there together. I would like to maybe repeat those again so and I can get a better understanding.
It may be 3 conditions, that's true.
It's 2 year, you're talking about the 2-year review? The 2-year review, which one?
No, it was the, there was some additional 80 acres, and I'm not up to date on that, so.
It's my understanding there's been an additional 80 acres acquired after this permit was issued, okay? And
But that 80 acres wouldn't fall under the special use permit anyway, would it?
It does not.
Does not, but this will make sure they know they can't use that 80 acres under this permit as a condition. He can't expand that trails on that 80 acres. I'm assuming that's why he bought it, to expand it, but, so you have to get another permit to do so.
Yes, he would have to get another permit, but yeah.
And it's a section of land that's closest to the church.
So what was so it was the issue of the 80 acres, and then what was the other two? I didn't write them down.
All right, the first one is the special use permit will be reviewed every 2 years to be sure that the
Conditions.
In 2 years.
pardon me?
In 2 years. In 2 years.
In 2 years.
Compliance
Be
with
sure
the
that
conditions.
the applicant is
In compliance.
in compliance with the zoning. There will be no competitions, and property located at G Pen, and I've got the number, is not to be used with this special use permit. Anything else?
And then we're adding in writing on the night rides.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna, as I go down through the
Okay.
conditions,
Okay.
we will add that. You want written notice of 5 days. Right.
5 working days.
5 what?
Working days.
5 working days. All right, let's go through this together, and y'all stop me as we go if I hit something wrong here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read a positive motion to amend conditions to the 11 conditions that are currently on this piece of property. Whereas J.D. Shelton et al.'s Gloria T. Shelton and Tammy Lee Shelton Wiles have petitioned the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use permit and are requesting an amendment to the conditions attached to the special use permit S-19-010 that was granted with conditions on September the 10th, 2019, for recreational use and ATV trails. Whereas we find no substantial detriment to adjacent property, that the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, and that such use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance, and whereas there are no significant adverse effects upon adjacent property that cannot be mitigated through conditions, I move the special use permit be granted. The amendment to the special use permit be granted with the following conditions. Primitive camping only, which would include includes tents only and no RVs. That's number one. Number two, night rides be allowed twice a year until 2 a.m. with written notice being presented to the zoning office in 5 working days prior to the rides. Hours of operation shall be limited to 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Daylight Savings Time. Factory mufflers only. Control erosion. Days of operation shall be Thursday through Sunday. No Sunday operation before 1 p.m. Never ride under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Maintain a setback of 300 feet. Comply with health department regulations. Comply with noise ordinance. Maintain vegetative buffer. The special use permit will be reviewed in 2 years to be sure that the applicants are in compliance. There will be no competitions. The property located at GPN 247-371-0347 will not be included in this special use permit.
I'll make a motion.
Okay? Yes. Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Merrick's that these amendments be approved.
Second.
We have a second from Mr. Stone. All those in favor, make it known. Who are we waiting on?
I don't have the option to vote. Do I need to be on a certain screen?
No.
This one? Do I go to agenda?
Okay, we're going to do a verbal since Mr. Brumfield is not working. Mr. Easley,
Yes.
Mr. Merrick's,
Yes.
Mr. Craddock,
Yes.
Mr. Yeaman,
Yes.
Mr. Brumfield,
Yes.
and Mr. Stone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. We've got a unanimous decision. Thank you all for coming out this evening. Hope we can all, the community and the Sheltons can work together to have a safe operation. Thank you all for coming out. Okay, the time is now 7:12. We'll open the public hearing on case S-23-008, requested by Larry and Lucinda Burnett for a special use permit for off-site parking. Ms. Ragsdale?
Case R-23-008, Larry and Lucinda Burnett have petitioned for a special use permit on 105.9 acres located on State Road 62 Milton Highway in the Dan River Election District to allow for off-site parking. On July 6, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended by a 7-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. The staff summaries enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Kara Fisher and J.R. Burnett are here to represent the petition.
Y'all have anything you'd like to add to your application? If you do, please come down.
Hello, good evening. Sorry, what was your question? I couldn't hear you back there.
Comment. Do you have any comments in support of your application?
Well, I support my application, but I don't know if JR, as the property owner, wanted to say anything in support. No?
All good, okay.
Good.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay, we may have some in a moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No one is signed up from the public to speak. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board? All right, the time is 7:14. We will close case S-23-008. Comments?
Mr. Chairman, this is what they did last year, and I think they did a great job doing that, so I would recommend a positive motion.
I agree, Mr.
Positive
Chairman.
motion.
Yes, I agree. It ran very well. I personally witnessed it, and they did a great job.
Good. Very good. We'll read a positive motion and see how it goes. Whereas Larry and Lucinda Burnett have petitioned the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use permit for off-site parking, and whereas we find no substantial detriment to adjacent property, that the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, and that such use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance, I move the special use permit be granted.
Mr. Chairman, there were some conditions by staff we didn't go over.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yes, thank you. Let me back up.
With the conditions.
Let me just start over. Whereas Larry and Lucinda Burnett have petitioned the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use permit for off-site parking, and whereas we find no substantial detriment to adjacent property, that the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, and that such use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance, whereas there are no significant adverse effects upon adjacent property that cannot be mitigated through conditions, I move the special use permit be granted with the following conditions. Camping shall be prohibited. This includes excuse me, the use of motor vehicles, recreational vehicles, and tents. Restroom facilities shall be provided on the premises. Solid waste receptacles shall be provided on the premises, and any solid waste shall be disposed of in accordance with Pennsylvania County Code, Chapter 17, Solid Waste, and they will remain in compliance with all applicable Virginia Department of Health regulations.
I'll make a positive motion.
All right, Mr. Craddock made a positive motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Yeaman made a second. All those in favor to approve the application, make it known. All right, the motion passed 6-0. Thank you all for coming out. No further business. This meeting is adjourned.